This is an award that we got for generating $1 million for one of our clients through one singular funnel. And no, this did not take 3 years to get. This was done in under a year. The screenshot of the proof is right here, showing you literally from their authorized.net account that we actually generated it. Now, what we're gonna do today is break down from A to Z this entire funnel, what it was, and how you can copy and paste this same funnel into your own business to sell any high ticket product or service. Let's dive into it. Now, what these guys were selling was a $3,500 to $5,000 coaching program, again, in the financial education space, basically teaching people how to day trade, invest, trade options, and also swing trade. So first off, let's dive into what actual funnel structure we ran. So we ran with them a VSL call funnel, and we also did have some webinar bolt-ons that I'll get into in a few. So now breaking down what we actually did for the ads. These are all direct response ads, okay? So they had a pretty unique angle, meaning they've been in business for 20 years plus. They have a huge rap sheet of case studies and everything, tons of publications, tons of features, very, very big name in this respective space. I'm not gonna reveal their name so I could actually go in depth on all these topics here and talk about numbers and figures and everything. But what we did was we continuously ran video ads and just tested a bunch of different messaging buckets along the way. And I have a bunch of videos on this channel where I break down what messaging buckets are and how we test through them. But basically, on a consistent basis, every single week, we would sit down, look at why people are buying, what the objections are, and what current circumstances are happening in the world right now, like the big grand narratives that we can play into, and weave those into ads. So we continuously cycled new creatives every single week around new messaging buckets or ad ideas we're testing, and current winning ones. We would just iterate off of those, right? So we would have messaging bucket 1, 2, 3, and just keep cycling those and seeing which ones would actually hit and scale. So that's on the ad side, right? Video ads, and we're just cycling a bunch of different messaging buckets and testing a lot of different ad angles. That's all we did throughout the entire duration of the promotion and launch of this offer. Now, after the ads, what we ran was a VSL call funnel, okay? So pretty much what we did with the VSL call funnel was it was a 3-step funnel. It was page 1, page 2, and page 3, okay? Now, page number 1 was a opt-in. So usually I don't like running opt-ins before a VSL page unless it's an offer like this, especially like a big info product like that can reach, the general public and everything. I do like to run those on that. And this company here did have great email marketing, okay? And they had great setters. So that was 2 other reasons why I said, okay, cool. Maybe we could run this opt-in before the VSL and see if we can squeeze some juice out of the email marketing and the setters. But what I did was when I put this opt-in in front of the VSL, I was like, all right, cool. These setters and this email marketing strategy have a 90-day window to see if they produce revenue. I have to model this out to actually see if it's worth having the setters and having the email marketing in place and make sure those are actually driving revenue to justify having that extra friction here on step 1 in the funnel and making people submit name, phone number, and email before they actually see the VSL with the application, pricing, and all that stuff, right? We're just adding friction to collect this information here, this name, phone number, and email, so that we could remarket to them with email and also hit them with setters. So again, if you're using an opt-in before the VSL, you have to make sure that, look, it's actually driving revenue and it's actually worth having these here. If not, you can cut them out. That's what we did with one of our consulting clients, George, where the whole case study is right here for you. We literally dropped his cost per call by 67% by removing the opt-in before his VSL page. For his demographic selling to e-com companies, that worked really, really well because he was getting like $110 cost per opt-in. So $110 per person just to see the VSL page, which is way too high. So anyways, after the opt-in page, we drove them over to a clean looking VSL page. So we had the headline, which we did rotate the headline every 3 or 4 or 5 days just to see what would hit and drive up some play rates if that was a bottleneck for us on the VSL and everything. Then on there, we had our VSL, which we only rotated the VSL twice, and that was when we wanted to make some changes to the offer. The VSL did pretty well. This was a 7-minute VSL for the most part, just explaining the offer, explaining the opportunity, really trying to build credibility and also separate them from the competitors. There's a lot of competitors in this specific space, the day trading and investing space. So we really had to flex the case studies, the proven system. They run a very structured system for their client delivery, meaning every client that comes on board has a very structured academy-like process that they go through versus a lot of other programs where it's like, hey, you just get access to this massive library of stuff, then you get our chat room and all that, and there's no structure to it. So that's really what we flexed in the VSL, and that's what worked pretty good. Then from there, we had a button that was the call to action right here, which told them to apply for a roadmap call, and that would have a pop-up that would be a full screen pop-up for a Typeform and Calendly integration. So we wanted to keep it to a 3-step funnel. We didn't want to have a separate schedule page and see a lot of drop off from the application to the schedule page. So all we did was we linked up Typeform and Calendly together, so people would go through a 3-question questionnaire, and then the last step on that Typeform after they submitted their contact information would be the Calendly. So again, it's not optimal that they submitted their contact information here and in the Typeform. You can remove the contact information if you do want inside of that Typeform application. We just wanted to add a little bit more friction, so that's what we decided to do. Just have the contact information submitted on both steps, and in the Typeform specifically, before they can schedule a call, we wanted them to submit their information again. And after that, we drove them over to a confirmation page, and I'll get to pixel conditioning and how we raise the quality overall. But on the confirmation page, we just had the headline, the thank you page video, and then a bunch of FAQ videos on here as well. We also have been experimenting lately with having a chatbot on the confirmation page, which has been very interesting. So we have AI answers in here. So basically somebody can go onto this confirmation page, right? Click this little chat bot, and we use intercom. We feed it a bunch of different prompts and a bunch of info, and they could literally chat about the product and get some common questions that they have answered right there in real time. We would have a rep monitoring that too, so sometimes the rep would step in versus the AI, but this worked really well. And we saw a lot of like full-blown conversations with people on this confirmation page just by having this there. So that worked really well. And then after that as well, we had just a bunch of text FAQs, which I actually saw when we heat mapped the page get consumed a lot more than some of these videos, which was very interesting. So that was the funnel structure that we ran. And pretty much what we did from there was we of course had to make sure that we conditioned the pixel properly to basically raise quality. So as you guys know, I've talked about pixel conditioning a lot on this page, but Meta is just a big AI platform. That's it. If you feed good data into it, you're gonna get good data out. If you feed bad data into it, you're gonna get bad data out, right? It optimizes based upon what you feed into it. So right here, we had our ads, then we drove them over to the VSL page with the application. And then what we would do is we would segment them based upon 1 or 2 paths, okay? We would have, if they answered 2 of those questions incorrectly, we would send them down a DQ path. And just to be clear, on the VSL page in that pop-up that I talked about earlier with Typeform and Calendly, we had 3 questions. Sometimes we would extend it to 5 when we wanted to raise some more friction, but usually it was 3 questions and we'd have 2 qualifier questions in there. So if they answered those incorrectly, we sent them down a DQ path, a disqualified path. And if they were qualified, we would send them over to this path. So if they were qualified, we would send them over to a confirmation page after they scheduled, right? So on the Typeform, if they did answer them incorrectly, we would not allow them to book on the main calendar. There was a point in time where we did allow them to book on a setter's calendar, a new setter. We would protect the closer's calendar for only the qualified leads. So they would be able to schedule up here. If they were qualified, then they would go to the confirm page that was pixeled and did feed back into the actual ad platform. So this had like the schedule code on there. We also played around with complete registration as well. And at a point where we did get a little data restriction that we had to appeal, we did play around with a custom event as well on there. So that's what we did for there. And then if they were DQ'd, again, we would still at times allow them to book with the setter, but we would here try to drive them into a free community. So this worked really, really well. So we would drive them into a free Discord community, and then from there, we would have our team and setters work them inside of that community after we've given some value and basically scoped out who would be a good fit for either the intro, which is the mid-ticket program, which is about $9.97, or just to send them into the high ticket program and try and set them for a closer calendar inside of that free community. So that's what we would do there. And then again, during this whole time, okay, we had consistent email marketing going. Now this is something a lot of info products especially, and agency owners mainly, just completely disregard, is the power of email marketing, okay? We would send value-based emails anywhere from 3 to 5 times per week. And these value-based emails were different tips. If we had a case study, we wouldn't just flex the case study. We would actually freaking break down the tactics and the strategies that this person used to get the end result. So somebody watching this case study is of course seeing, okay, cool, these guys got this person a great end result, but they would also be like, I'm actually learning something valuable here, so I want to actually keep watching this video. So that's what we would do there. So these are kind of how the emails would look, is we would have, you know, the body text and everything, very clean and broken up. We didn't have like big chunks of paragraphs and everything. We try to do 1 to 2 sentences per paragraph max. And then from there, we would have the signature at the bottom and then a section at the bottom too that would list out the 2 different offers. So it would list out the mid-ticket offer and also the high-ticket offer down here. We got a lot of clicks to those and a lot of schedules, so those were really good. We would just drive them right over to a calendar. So again, if it was for the high-ticket offer, that would go directly to the best closers calendar. And if it was the mid-ticket, it would go to a setter or a new closers calendar. And from there, the whole goal, yes, would of course be to tell them about what they opted in for, that mid-ticket, but on that call too, they would try to qualify them to see, okay, cool, you're actually a great fit for our high-ticket thing. Would you be open to exploring that right now? Me telling you a little bit about that. So that's what, again, all roads would try to lead to that high ticket is essentially what we try to do. And then what we would do too is we would actually have the setters over here look inside, we used HubSpot for them, look inside of HubSpot and see, okay, this person has opened up 80% of the emails. Let me try to make a better connection with them. Let me text them. Let me see if I can give them some more resources that we have. Let me see if I can give them some more value. Let me see if I can get a little bit under the hood of their situation and see how I can best help them to, again, build a connection and bring them into our ecosystem better. So they would literally look at the people that were the most engaged. inside of HubSpot and would essentially just dial them up, text them, etc. DM them on Instagram sometime, and that would work really, really well. And a quick note here, like the whole goal of you as a setter should be to help the actual prospect do some research on you as a company and your solution, and also just give value to them. Like that's the whole thing. I don't even like calling our setters. They're literally just people that are trying to not qualify prospects, but give some information, give some value, help them out, help them make an informed decision, and just be of service to them, right? A lot of the communication that setters and salespeople have before a sales call is super selfish, it's not value dense, it's not value based, and that's really what I tried to frame with these guys during this whole process is literally you're just here trying to give them value and see how you can help them and build a relationship and a connection with them. If you do that properly, you're gonna see a huge difference in the lead quality and of course your conversions, because people will be more latched on to your brand. Most of your competitors are just out here using setters and using salespeople as qualifiers and just asking basic questions and not actually giving any value, and that's a big problem. So separate yourself by doing that. And a couple other things that we wove in as well is content remarketing. So after somebody would book in a call, right, they would schedule their call here, we would remarket to them with different long form and short form videos on a consistent basis. That worked really well just to pre-frame the prospects, and we would just hit them with a high volume of short form and long form content that, again, just push value forward, answer some of the common questions they had, and just combated some objections before the actual sales call occurred. This got people super warm when they showed up to calls. And also, by the way, it soaked up a lot of real estate in their mind. And after somebody opts in for example, a day trading offer, guess what they're gonna get hit with? A lot of other day trading offer ads from other competitors. So by us running this sort of structure here with all of this content and just delivering this to them in feed through content remarketing before the actual call, we would take up some of that screen real estate and some of that real estate on their feed with our content versus them seeing competitor ads. That was a big thing that we noticed, was the competitor objection kind of actually went down when we started to push a high volume of content to them through custom audience, through a content remarketing campaign before the actual sales call occurred. So that's something that if you're not doing, you should be weaving in. It's very powerful, especially if you're in info product land, because there's a lot of convincing that you got to do, especially if you're in a saturated niche, to get someone to know, like, and trust you. And this is the way to do it. And finally, from there, what we did was after each 30-day cycle of us running ads, we would run a warm audience webinar. So basically, we would hammer the email list, we would shoot out some text, And we would also run some ads to people that have opted in, maybe not converted, people that have landed on our page, interacted with videos on socials and everything. And we would run a warm audience webinar for them and push them into a special for the actual high ticket item. Okay, so this worked really, really well. We would fill this thing up with 300, 400, 500 people, and we would get pretty decent show rates on this because it was warm and they were familiar with us. So we would get anywhere from, on the low end, about 13 to 15%. Sometimes on the high end, when we really have a great hot topic for the webinar itself, we did rotate these every 30 days. You know, we're playing into like, you know, the election was a great angle that we played on with one of our warm audience webinars back in January. And a lot of people showed up to that one. We had over a 30% attendance rate on that one, which was great, and a great retention rate too. So we would run warm audience webinars every 30 days as kind of like a CRM sweep and a CRM cleanup. And these would be some great cash injection plays. Then on top of that, what we did was every 90 days, we would run a weekend challenge. So this would be like a $97 ticket that we usually ran with a $197 VIP upsell. And what this would do was, again, it would be about a 3-day challenge. And this would be something on the weekend where we'd pull in different guest speakers from the industry that people know. We'd also leverage their audience with that as well in those promotions and pull people in from their communities, which was really powerful. And during the actual 3 days, on day 1, we would do a light pitch. On day 2, we would do a more aggressive pitch. And then on day 3, we would do a just longer pitch. And we saw great success with this. This again would be like another CRM sweep. We would run very light ads to this. But again, with this strategy, we are more just leveraging affiliate networks and affiliate communities and stuff from the speakers that we brought in, and also our email list, text list. And if any of the closers, for example, or the salespeople had a lot of leads that were just sitting on the sidelines for a while, they would toss out this ticket to them, maybe give them like 20% off or something, or sell them a GA and just give them a free VIP upgrade or something like that to sweeten it. We again just use this as a full experience for the people that were on the sidelines or have been in our CRM to bring them into a great event and then sell them from there. So we would give them a lot of value, to be very clear. They would learn a lot on these days, but of course we did pitch them and we did clean house pretty well on these. Sure, we could have ran ads to it for sure. Definitely could run ads to a paid challenge, and that could have done pretty damn well. But again, we had a lot of other stuff just working at that time, and the current capacity for the sales team just wouldn't support having a webinar run every 30 days, plus a call funnel that we were scaling, plus a challenge funnel that we were running. So just didn't have the capacity at that point, but sure, I would have loved to do that. So that's what we did to scale that offer from the ground up. Everything from the ads all the way to the actual funnel structures, even email marketing we talked about and everything. So if you want us to build a custom ad system for your business and personally want me to run your ads for you for 30 days before we hand it off for you to run with all of our SOPs and resources, there's a link down below you can click, learn more, apply, and schedule a call with me one-on-one. And in the meantime, if you want a full, complete breakdown of how to run ads in 2025, click this video right here. It's gonna give you a full A to Z breakdown of our entire ad strategy so you can apply these principles into your own business and scale your own funnels. And of course, drop that subscribe if you wanna learn how to make more money with funnels and ads. Peace.